Tell me why the market is moving at 9 o'clock of all the times that the market should be moving. So you know that we like to trade during the New York session, right? And I've noticed most of the time that's because that's where we have volatility in the market during the New York session. Now for today, it's a beautiful Monday, and I have these trades running on US30 and NASDAQ. These are one of the easiest trades that I've ever gotten on this channel. What I did was simply go into a trade on Friday, held it over the weekend, and the market just opened with a ridiculous gap that pushed US30 to the top and currently holding 500 pips on each of the trade. Now, this is one of the easiest trades I've ever gotten, like I said, on this channel, with a $300 account that we've just flipped up to the top. I won't even explain this trade because it doesn't make any sense. It was just an easy trade. I will explain though the NASDAQ trade that we've just currently gotten into. You can see that we have closed the gap. We're having the gap. The market opened with the gap and it has just closed the gap. Right now we have joined that trade, and I'm going to explain all of the details of this particular trade to you guys. I will show you in this video how to trade with ease any chart of your choice. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We trade the NASDAQ over here. If you're returning, welcome back. You already know what's up. Don't forget to hit that like button, turn your post notifications, and subscribe to the channel. You feel me? Now, we're going to wait for this trade to actually play out. And then when we start seeing a bit of momentum, then I'll start explaining the trade. Other than that, it just closed the gap, and there's nothing of paramount importance that's happening here. Is the everyday trade that we always have. Now, if we see something new, something interesting, then I'll definitely bring it for you guys right over here. My new bitch look like Tyler Perry, but she don't love me, she too scary. My old bitch front like Jackie Brown. I know you scroll through your phone looking at multiple successful traders that seem as if they have synced with the market and are just making profits back to back. This is simply because these people are using strategies that they have tried and tested over a period of time, and they have gained confidence in their analysis that they can just close their eyes when they see a setup and take it. This exact same thing that I did with this particular NASDAQ trade, and currently we're sitting in good profit. Now the NASDAQ market opened like this on a Monday with such a beautiful gap. When I see this, I am always so happy because I know that there is a 90% chance that I might get a really nice setup on this particular day because of what I have seen happening in the past. Now, once a trader masters the art of spotting good entries, being confident in those particular entries, things just start getting clearer. You start getting more accurate pictures of the market. It makes you trade smarter with less risk and make even wiser decisions in any trade that you end up taking. Now, when you look at a gap, especially on NASDAQ, it might seem as if it's something out of this world, and you probably wonder, how exactly should I trade when the market looks like this? But once you grasp what I'm going to explain in this particular video, anytime the market opens with a gap, you're going to have a different approach to how you see the market. I am simply going to break down exactly what you need to do when you see a gap on Monday as the market opens, and by the end you will be able to spot those same setups for your own selves. Now make sure you listen to each and every single part of the video to get exactly what I'm saying, and if you miss any part, make sure you just repeat it so that you understand each and every single thing that I will be talking about. Now, most times on this channel, I simply just drop points as I am moving and analyzing the trades. You simply have to pay attention to the statements that I always give in every single video. Now, I do remember saying that if the market opens on Monday with a gap, there is a high chance that it is going to close that gap on Monday, or if it does not, it might not even close that gap for that particular week. Now, I know that you've heard that on this channel because I think I've said it quite a number of times. It is 12:30 on a Monday morning. The market has opened with a gap. I simply have to wait for the market to come back and close the gap. Now, my entry point is going to be at the point where the market closes the gap. So what do we need to do now that the market is looking like this? Is to simply wait. And yes sir, it is 2 a.m. as you can see right over here, guys, and you can see that we are up 80 pips on the NASDAQ, and you can already see that yes, the market did close the gap on US30. I ended up having to close my trade that I had, you know, and the account is now $1,000. Remember, it was $300 where we started the video. And right over here, the market did close the gap like I was explaining. Now the whole team already understands what I'm talking about. In the inner circle, you can see that we have Collins. This is not the first time that you've seen him on this channel trading the close of the gap. I don't like trading sells. My weakness is to sell the market when it's on an uptrend. I literally don't like that. He always sells to join the close of the gap, as he did right over here. As you can see that he's in good profit. I also have Panache right over here with Euro USD. Shout out to you who is typing at 2 a.m. in the morning, Mr. Donald. All right, back to our chart. So that is it, guys. Look at the market. It simply closed the gap on NASDAQ. And what did I do? I wanted to now look for an entry point, right? So at this point, I was not sitting on my laptop, but remember, I did say that I'm going to explain the whole trade. Now look, it dropped into this point of interest, right? And then as it got to this spot, it started to reject at this particular level. Now remember, you should have at least 2 or 3 confluences on the 4-hour time frame. During the weekly analysis, I said that we want a NASDAQ to break out of this certain zone. Now it broke out of that certain zone. What it's doing, it should reject at that particular zone. Now listen, the market opened with a gap and it came back to close the gap and stopped the close of the gap at a resistance that has been broken out of and has been turned into a support. So at that spot, I expect the market to reject. Now that the gap is closed, I know that the market wants to now go up to the top. Now, if we go over onto the 1-hour time frame, let's look at our candlesticks. Let's look at what the market was doing at that specific point. We had the market breaking out of the zone with this candle, wicking right back and closing inside right at the break of that line right over there. And then look at the next candles, indecision candles. At the spot, I already know that the buyers want to enter into this market. Now, that is simply why I then took the trade. You could have waited for a better confirmation, maybe for the next 1-hour candle to close. It doesn't matter. You'll still be in 3 hours worth of profit. It's as simple as that. Now, obviously, I'll be waiting for the NASDAQ to push up to the top because I do still want to see, you know, a push to the upside. But for this particular day, I have already capitalized on this particular trade for Monday, you know, and the whole inner circle is in good profit. We already had our first take profit, and I told them that we're going to end up holding this trade overnight because, you know, the market started to move, like I was saying at the beginning of the video. It started to move at around 9 o'clock, which does not even make any sense, right? So what we're gonna do right now is to run a little back test. Now, if you don't know what back testing is, it is actually just going back in time, looking at what the market has done before with that particular setup that you have. There are different ways to actually back test. You can use a chart that's actually running, but in this particular case, I just want to use like 3 or 4 examples and explain to you how you should spot these things. You should also go and backtest the strategy and see if it will end up working for you. But obviously, it is 2 a.m. and I cannot do a backtest for you at 2 a.m. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait till tomorrow. I think at this point, our NASDAQ trade will also be in good profit or playing around because there's not going to be any volatility in the market at this current point. But for now, let's go right to bed and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, lovely traders. How you guys doing? I am doing... Oops. Sorry. How you guys doing? I am doing absolutely lovely. You can say it is... Wow. I don't know. It is... Yeah, it is 10:41 in the morning. And I am ready to do that back test for you guys. Now, traders, remember, any strategy of your choice, before you actually just dive right into working with it, make sure you always back test it. It's absolutely important. It actually gives you more confidence when you're now in the trade, right? So let's not even waste so much time and just dive right onto the charts and run a little back test. Just, you know, 2 or 3 trades here, and then I'll explain every single thing, you know, what you're supposed to see, what you're not supposed to see before you place a trade, and all of that other good stuff. So I'm going to be running this back test on the 30-minute time frame because that's the time frame that I normally like to trade, right? So you can see we're on a NASDAQ right over here, and this is our current trade that we took yesterday after we traded that gap. Absolutely lovely. Right now we're up 80 pips in the inner circle, as you can see right over here, but that's besides the point. Let's just go onto our calendar right over here and select every Monday, because most of the times the market has a gap on Monday because the market would have slightly moved during the weekend. So we're just going to be selecting each and every single Monday to see the Mondays that we actually had gaps. On the 18th of November, as you can see, we had no gap on this day. So let's shift to the 11th of November. Ooh, lovely. Look at that. We had a gap, a nice little gap that was disrespected. At this point, you can see that the gap indeed was closed. on a Monday, but you could not have taken this particular trade. Why? Because of the simple price action that I'm always talking about on this channel. Look at how we had the sellers in control of this market. They actually passed the gap. They dropped the market and passed way past the gap. So there was absolutely no reason for you to keep even looking for buying trades at this point. You would have wanted to buy probably around about this spot if the market stopped at this level and given you good price action. But look at where it ended up stopping. And at this point where it stopped, there was no point of interest. So on that particular day, there was absolutely no trade. Only Collins could have gotten a trade on this particular day because he actually likes to trade the close of the gap. Now let's go over to a different day and let's just see the 4th of November. We had no gap on this particular day, so let's just go to let's go right to October. Then let's go to the 28th of October right over here. Oh, lovely. Look at that. We had a nice little gap on this day. And just exactly as I was saying, look at how the market ended up shooting up to the top after it closed the gap, right? So I simply like to call it the gap. I don't know. Maybe it has a different name. I just like to call it a gap, right? Because it's clearly a gap, right? So you want to mark up where the gap is supposed to get closed, right? So the gap is supposed to get closed at this spot right over here. This is where the market is supposed to come to after it has closed the gap at the zone right over here, and that is your point of interest, right? And most of the times on a larger time frame, this could be a really good spot, also giving you a lot more confluence to even enter the trade, you know, with a lot more confidence. I mean, so you can see what simply happened here. The market came, dropped, closed the gap at the spot, right? It played around, it went to the top, closed the gap. It did not even come with so much force. It just got to that level, closed it, and then the buyer started stepping in at that particular moment, and it did try to retest the level again, after which it rejected good price action. We are always talking about price action over here. You see good price action at a point of interest, you would have simply just dived right into the trade and go up with it to the top. Now let's just go straight to a different day. This is one way to actually back test, right? You can simply use this method also if you develop a certain strategy that does not need when the market or the candlesticks are forming. You can literally just use this method to be back testing. So let's go to the 21st of October. We have some days where it opens with a gap, but look at it. It opened at 1 o'clock with the gap. By the time I woke up, the gap was already closed. So in this case, on this particular day, this becomes invalid. It doesn't even make sense, and the gap of it is too small. This type of gaps, like, I really don't prefer these tiny little gaps like this on. Now these ones you can simply just ignore them because they are not of paramount importance, right? Let's go to the 14th. Let's go to the 14th. We had no gap on the 14th, right? Let's go to the 7th. Let's see what we have on the 7th. We also had a little tiny little gap on the 7th that I just said is not of any importance, right? You want to ignore that. Most of the time it is already closed by the time we want to, you know, analyze. By the time we want to trade, the gap is already closed. So this is exactly how you can do it. You can go back, you know, back in time and simply go to every single Monday chart and try and backtest to see if that'll actually work for you. Put it into practice, you know, with your trades. We have just obliterated NASDAQ using that exact same strategy. Nothing too complicated. You don't even have to think much when you're trading using this simple strategy. Now remember, you always have to still practice it nicely. Use proper risk management. At the end of the day, there is no strategy that is 100% accurate, which is why I do not use this particular strategy alone, right? And it doesn't even make sense to use it alone because it would only work on Mondays when we have a good gap, which is not something you see all the time. Now, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button, turn on your post notifications, and subscribe to the channel. You feel me? With that, it's been Tina, and I'll see you in the next lit video. Peace.